Welcome to The Story Tinker, a Webtoons and Witcher podcast for superfans with scene-by-scene analysis. Featuring sharp co-hosts for a fuller picture, we dive deep into character psychology, relationships, and theories. We'd love it if you could like, subscribe, comment, and rate us on all podcast platforms and social media. For bonus content, you can support The Story Tinker on Patreon. Let's begin.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 134 of Purple Hyacinth Potent Poison. Now that was what we were all debating last week. Oh, we're here with Lily. Hi, Lily.
Hi guys, back again.
So I guess before we start, and audience, you can chime in like wherever you are on YouTube or Instagram. Did you think that Kim was going to be dead in this episode?
What did you think, Mindy?
At first, I was don't shoot me. I hoped yes. At first, I thought yes because like when I first read the episode last week, I was like, yes, she's gonna die because they can't just keep faking it out. I know.
Yes, I know. Also, yeah, I have to say that Kim has the most fake out moments. Like she's got like 3 fake out moments in the entire factory arc, and so I can kind of understand the frustration where it could get a little repetitive. But as we see in this episode, I thought it was very well done.
Okay. Yeah. So what ended up happening was what I did guess after a while of ruminating and talk. I guessed that she would be sick for a while.
Yeah, that's what I think so too. I mean, everybody was completely shocked at the end of that episode because they're just having a normal conversation and then Kim is collapsing to the ground dying. But I really didn't think that she was gonna die because I think Soph and F have confirmed somewhere that 𝗪𝗏 was going to be canon. And so I'm like, well, they're not even a couple yet or anything. And I think that she's also Soph's favorite character. So I'm like, you're not going to kill off your favorite character. It's just not going to happen. Although I will say it would have been a very interesting plot point if they threw us that curveball.
Yeah. I mean, it would have, I think, okay, the one good thing story-wise it would have accomplished, I think, is, keeping their promises, right? But in terms of, and the only other thing in terms of plot I think it could do is, and I think I mentioned this at some point, spur William to action, because William is right now very passive and he lets other people dictate his life. So perhaps her death would have been, would compel him to make his own choices.
Yeah, I agree. I think I said something about that in the Discord as well, where I mean, Will has obviously been the much more passive character, but I think it just kind of would have lit a fire under both of their butts, Lauren and William, to kind of get a move on, because Lauren has been taken a little bit of a back seat the past couple of weeks in, the storyline for good reasons. But we're like, I know the fans are like itching to get the ball rolling again with Lauren in action again. So that would have done it. But I also think that Kim being sick could, and we can talk about that, a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely see some reaction from Will. But so let's get into the episode. We see Lauren is having this, kind of, it's blurred out little tears. She says, somebody call 911. And she's, kind of shaking Kim. She's screaming Kim. She's yelling. She has that blood on her face, which we have yet to see the significance and the outcome of the blood. Probably will have some effects. And she is coughing, everything's blurry. People are putting her on a stretcher. She's being rushed into hospital, which, may I point out, the hospital is extremely 21st century, but whatever.
I will say, though, that the paramedics are wearing gloves.
Yeah.
So good. Okay. That's good.
Right. Yeah, I just find it funny, the mix of styles, because the hospital is 21st century and the nurse or the doctor is wearing, an older.
Oh, I know. Well, that's one of the most fun things about PH is trying to figure out what the heck the timeline is. And we know that it's a mixture of timelines, but my brain still wants to solidify it as an actual time frame. So I think it's loosely 1920s, but yeah, it's just a mixture of all these different eras.
Yep. And I'm laughing at myself because I'm like, you see this paramedic who's there for literally 2 scenes. I'm like, oh, he's blonde. I bet he's good looking.
Wait, who? Oh my God. Ratman 2.0, but it's the paramedic.
Terrible. Terrible.
I mean, okay, wait, let me look. This is PH, and so they're probably attractive, even though we can't see his face.
Exactly.
Apparently, just Olive Ardalis is
stunning.
Yeah, good genetics. They have really good genetics in this city.
So Lauren is looking extremely worried, and she pictures in her mind's eye Morgan coughing and dying, and she is not happy.
Oh, she's freaking out.
Yes. Now instead of Kim freaking out about Lauren dying, is Lauren freaking out about Kim dying.
I know. I can't not comment on the irony of that entire dialogue that they had. That was so moving and so beautiful, about her worrying about Lauren dying just for her to collapse and start coughing blood 2 seconds later. Well done, 𝗪𝗱𝗃. That really, chef's kiss for that.
Oh, it's funny. All right, so now we're in the hospital, and Kim looks stabilized. Well, she's at least in the bed, and the doctor is pressing a stethoscope to her chest. She has oxygen in her nose. The doctor gets up, sighs, walks outside, and we see Will is there, right? And Lucas is there, sitting in a chair in a hospital gown. And who else is there?
Okay, we all collectively screamed at this.
Yes.
You know, I had to do a double take. I was scrolling, and then I went, wait, what is, we know who that is. We know that little ponytail with that little bow. This man is holding his woman. That is a married couple right there, you guys. Oh my God.
Happy. And I'm gonna say, okay, I guess I'll say this a little later also, but for anyone seeing he's just playing the part, he just has to pretend to be her boyfriend. No. This is entirely natural. Kieran,
No, this is completely natural, because yeah, I mean, as we get later on, like, you can just see how natural this is for both of them. Like, this is just him comforting her. This isn't a pretense or anything. He didn't enter that hospital thinking like, oh, I gotta keep up appearances, because only William knows about the, I mean, he doesn't know that it's fake dating, but he's the only one that knows that Lauren is supposed to be dating, air quotes, dating Kieran, but Lucas doesn't know.
Well, I wonder how much of a gossip he is that he would have found out, but
I mean, I'm sure there's, well, William wouldn't say anything, but Kim would.
Right.
So it depends on if Kim was a gossip.
And Lucas likes that.
Yeah, things just get around. I mean, that girl can't stay away from the archive, so it's like, word probably got around.
Right. Yeah, so the doctor is adjusting a prick in her neck, which I always wonder, I think several people mentioned, like, maybe it's because 𝗪's like self-inserting. She's like, oh, my neck is hurting from all my medical school studying.
I know. I was wondering if it was that, or if she
got infected,
but that would be really fast, because Kim just got, like, basically what they're saying is Kim just got to the hospital a couple of hours ago, and so it wouldn't really make sense for it to, like, kick in that fast. But yeah, I was a little suspicious of those panels, because she, like, rubs her neck later again too.
Right, it's very obvious. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how many people get infected. It's a lot of people getting infected, but if the doctor could get infected like that, I mean, our house is done. That's it. They're all dead.
Yeah, for sure. And I also went back and looked at the panel where she's listening to her heart and lung sounds. She's wearing gloves. Right. So she's wearing the mask, but she's also wearing gloves, because, and I can talk about it a little bit more later on, but I think that this is spread through contact and not by droplet or airborne or aerosolization. So,
all right. Yeah, so she says, we've been able to stabilize her for the most part in the ER, but I'm still worried about her heart rate. It's unusually slow and irregular. Her blood pressure is also on the rather low end, despite the medication we've given her. On a good note, her fever has come down, and all three of them are standing there, very silent and still, just watching. They all have like their heads are downcast. And she said,
okay, wait, can we have a moment?
Yeah, with the height
moment. Oh my God, his height and the shoulder width. I mean, we just standing next to William. It's very obvious. I just have to point it out. I'm sorry.
I actually don't think this is consistent at all. I think that he's usually, well, it really varies. Sometimes, most of the time,
it super varies. I mean, there's some times where he and Lauren are almost the exact same height, and then there's other ones where Lauren's wearing like 4-inch heeled boots, and she's like barely up to his shoulder. So it's not consistent.
Yeah. I mean, like Kieran's shoulders, most of the time he's like extremely thin and narrow. And then only when he's shirtless, suddenly boom, becomes flawed and like
I'm telling you, his clothes don't show his body well. His body type. But I agree, it's a little inconsistent. But I do have to point out right here, he's looking very good.
Yeah. And we'll continue to monitor her closely and investigate the cause of her symptoms. And Lauren says, "Thank you, doctor. Do you have any idea as to what this could be?" And she says, "Well, her presentation is quite peculiar. With the history you've given me, I would be worried about an aggressive infection. Our tests have already ruled out pulmonary embolisms or pneumonia, which is very good news. But since she is displaying similar symptoms as the actress who died last night, and you've told me Miss Liddell has been in contact with her, I'm wondering if the two cases could be linked." All right. So Will says Miss Green's body went progressively stiffer after she started coughing rather large amounts of blood. She was dead within just a few minutes. They were barely able to do chest compressions by the end of it. And we have a flashback of Kim
doing the chest compressions.
Yes, saying, "Holy gosh, she's so stiff." That's how hard a muscles work. And now we have the comic relief.
I didn't realize how much I missed Lucas until he's back.
Yeah, I know, he was so funny. Like the episode is like not, funny, but he is hilarious.
No, it's so serious, but of course we have to have our comedic relief from Grumpy Cat.
Yep, it's all that plugged in. I did not realize it was not plugged in. And he's like, "Why does everything interesting have to happen while I'm out?" And he's sitting there, not even looking up. He's just being all annoyed. And the doctor continues, "Tuberculosis doesn't present that way and definitely doesn't act as quickly in a newly infected person. In fact, no medical conditions that I know of act quite like that and so violently and suddenly. Because there's been a contact, my suspicion for some kind of new infection is still high. But as your poisoning, as you've suggested, is not out of question either." And then we have our literate,
our beautiful Kieran.
Right, it's funny. I'm like literate and knowledgeable, but you're like, "No, it's beautiful."
Knowledgeable and beautiful.
Yes. Yes. And he says the description of Miss Green's death sounds like the effects of a potent neurotoxin or venom. And so first of all, it's a little bit like, is he making himself sound suspicious by knowing about poisons?
I know. I'm like, Kieran, sweetheart, you might want to think about this for a split second before you open your mouth. But then it's like slightly less suspicious because William kind of jumps in and inserts himself. But I just want to point out, I think it's super interesting. Like, of course, our like hardcore fans, we all know that F is currently in medical school. And so I think it's really cool, like as a fellow medical professional myself, like I've mentioned it on the podcast, but I'm a registered nurse. And so I just think it's like, I loved this episode because it like, I just love it. She inserts all this medical knowledge. I'm like, oh, I know this stuff. This is super cool. That means that she knows it too. And she's studying and she really, she knows her stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool to see your interest. There was one, I can't remember what it was. There was one story on Webtoons that randomly had, I don't remember anything. It was like some kind of other like intellectual hobby of mine, like something I like to study, and it was just randomly there. And I was like, wow, that was nice.
Yeah, right. I mean, like when they insert like a random hobby or a random something you like know a lot about. Yeah. Well, especially like I feel like a lot of times in Webtoons, like especially the ones like, a lot of the like Korean ones or fluffier ones, like there's doctors and nurses, but it's not medically accurate. Like it's just for the plot point. They actually don't talk about like real medical diagnoses and things like that. And everything that I almost said F, but Dr. F has said in this episode is accurate. Like these are real diagnoses, these are real diseases, like everything that she said is accurate. And so I really appreciate that. It's a nice little touch.
Mm-hmm. I just really, it's funny, like, although I said earlier that the doctor might be a stand-in for F with her neck crick, I just realized she probably is a literal stand-in. Like she's supposed to look like her too, no?
I think that's what she's supposed to look like because I mean, you know how there's Soph and F at like the little, like the end or whatever. And like Soph has drawn a couple of things. Oh, well, there's a couple of videos on Soph's Instagram where she like blurs out their faces. But you can see that F is like kind of taller, slim, like has the sandy blonde hair. So that's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming this is what she looks like. So I think that's super cool. Like, when are we going to see Soph? When is Soph going to be in here?
Yep. And then we have a wonderful panel where thing Lauren's arm. It's so soft and tender.
Do you think okay, but do you think he's doing that like as a comfort, or do you think he's doing that like
as a warning?
Kind of as a like, I don't know, as like a he's tense because he thinks,
like if he meaning
or like we're suspecting Bella, you know, that was kind of where my mind instantly went, because we know, I mean, everybody is going to jump to that conclusion, like that assumption. She's the only one that we know that knows poisons, uses poisons.
I think you're right, because Lauren then looks over and then she gives him a look, and well, you know, the first time I read it, I interpreted it as Lauren being surprised that he's, you know, comforting her, that he's doing that, but
he's been holding her,
right?
He's been holding her, so it's a little squeeze.
Yeah,
and so I think it's more of like, like yeah, could be.
Oh, which shows that Kieran has some emotions for Bella. I know Food would like to hear this, that he, you know, he's worried. Either he's worried or he's like, I don't want.
Well, yeah, I think he's concerned because, you know, that puts him in a difficult situation, both in the plot and emotionally, because he's admitted to Lauren, like, she's kind of the only friend he grew up with that we know of, at least in his time in the PH, and they train together and they still kind of have this back and forth together where they're frenemies. And so I don't know, to see Lauren in this much pain over her best friend, I wonder if he's thinking, oh crap, maybe I should have done something about Bella like earlier on before it got to this point.
Right.
But who knows?
And also, what is he going to do now?
Yeah.
I can't imagine he would do anything to actually harm her without questioning her first. Like, he's
no, he has to get the information first, especially because this isn't her typical venom. Like, Kieran knows, and a couple other people know, like, this is not how the typical like golden viper venom works.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so I think the tension makes a lot of sense. And now Will says, that's what I'm starting to think as well. Before I rushed to the hospital, March had told me Cooper and Grace also started feeling sick and went home early. They should probably be sent to the hospital to get checked. And Lauren's like, do we know their symptoms? March probably does. We should call him. And then Lauren says infection or poison. It makes no sense. Kim was barely in contact with her. She didn't eat nor drink anything that night, which I'm curious how she knows that, but okay. If it was an infection,
yeah,
or if the poison was something volatile, both you, I, the opera crew, and many other people should be sick too by now.
Oh, I guess she's just thinking she didn't eat or drink anything like after Miss Green. Or just eat anything like a theater.
How would she know that? Like, let's say Kim goes home, right? Like, how does she know what she ate at home?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. But I guess she's more thinking like she didn't eat anything at the theater. And so they're saying infection or poison, but the title of this chapter is, so I think that's kind of the giveaway. And they keep mentioning that it's acting like a snake bite, which is kind of like the venom.
Yeah.
So I personally, I know there's been a lot of debate, especially in the Discord, but I don't think it's an infection. They kind of like gave it to us that it's a poison.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think, okay, well, I guess we can talk about it at the end to see what happens to everyone. So now Lucas was like, oh, jinx yourself. I hate to have you guys to keep me company around. Well, looks like that is going to happen, Lucas. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, I don't think any of the main four will die. What do you think? You think so? You think at least one?
I know, get sick. Yes.
I mean, they're already. Kim's already sick.
So yeah, we can speculate in the end about who, what, when, or why. Like what.
Okay.
And she's like, and I
Pick your bet.
posted. We'll take good care of your friend and we'll alert you should her state change. However, I'm afraid that she will need to remain in isolation until we know more. All of you should monitor yourselves over the next few days and come to the emergency room if you develop similar symptoms. And you, Mr. Randall, shouldn't be exerting yourself so soon.
I love that panel. She's like leaning to the side and yelling at him.
I'm like, I'm fine, dog. Only feeling alive when I'm on the brink of death.
I'm glad to know that Lucas's humor didn't burn in the fire of the factory with him. So
I did. You know, when I first saw Lucas and when I first started reading PH and I saw Lucas in the office, I thought he was Kieran, and I was like, why is he in the office and why is nobody
like I'm very confused. How is he's not even disguised? How could he be here?
Yes, it took me like a while to figure out I was not actually Kieran.
He looks like very tan, shorter haired.
Yeah. And Will's like, thank you so much, doctor. Of course, is there any family we can call on behalf of Miss Liddell? He's like, yes, I'll give you their phone number. So he knows it by heart. Just saying.
I'm just saying. I feel like Will is the person that could definitely have a photo, like a, what do they call it? A photogenic memory.
Oh, that, okay.
Like he can see something once and it's in his brain forever. I feel like he's probably that kind of
that's fun, maybe. His hair is looking mighty fine in that picture. He does
look really good. He's looking good. Not as good as our man Kieran, but he's looking sharp.
Yep.
Why did they dress so formally to go to the hospital? I don't know.
Lauren came straight from there. I don't know. What was it? It was like a Sunday, right? What was it? Is it like, it's not a work day?
It was a work day.
After, right, and that was, so then what's today?
Because the theater, it happened last night and they had a work day, but they got off at like 2, I think one of the clocks said.
Well, the clock.
And remember Lauren said, oh, when we get off work, let's go to the hospital.
Right, to visit Lucas.
Yeah, and so I think they got off like early afternoonish, and then that's when she went to the park.
Yeah, so then, I don't know, Will was just,
that's just how they roll. They're fancy.
Mm-hmm. And then he said, I'll also be staying around for the hospital tonight.
Oh, I wonder if we're going to get any scenes of him meeting her parents.
Oh, that'd be nice. They're probably like 1 billion times nicer than his parents, and maybe I'll have a breakdown.
Oh my God, anybody's nicer. The bar is so low. Anybody's nicer than, although I mean, Josephine seems nice. She's just a little out of her mind, poor sweetheart. But I mean, we also don't know. We're just assuming that she was good.
I remember that who was it that said it? Dawkins or Tristan? I think that Josephine kept Stefan like in rain, like she reined him in when she was sick.
Yeah, he had a softer side, it sounded like, when she was more like when she was healthy and more with it.
Oh, but yeah, I'm wondering if I'm predicting will have like this soliloquy to an unconscious Kim. He'll be like, oh, you mean so much to me, I can't live without you. It'll be like his breakthrough moment.
And meet his future in-laws, even though he doesn't know yet that they're his future in-laws.
Yeah. Okay, I'm taking bets if that will happen. That's my feeling. But also the fact that he wants to stay in hospital, like I don't think he would do this for any of his employees, right? So I think that it might be a case of his actions showing him his feelings before he's aware of his feelings. Like anyone else, maybe I don't know if any of his friends will point it out to him, but like, hey, Will, the fact that you're staying here kind of means you care a lot about Kim.
Yeah, I mean, especially because it's not like he can sit in the room with her. She's in complete isolation, and so it's not like he's sitting there by her side. He's just going to be able to hang out in the hallway. But no, I agree. I think part of it could be him just feeling bad because he's her, direct subordinate, and feels a little, subordinate. But I do think I think most of it is, kind of unconscious feelings.
No, I wonder if Lauren's planning on staying. Like, it would be fairly predictable if Lauren would want to stay, but she doesn't talk about it. Anywho, not yet, at least. So
at least stay until her parents get there. I think he wants to wait until they get there and talk to them about what happened, because he was there that night too. I'm sure they have a lot of questions about what happened and what went down, and he was there. He saw everything too.
I think he wants to stay there all night because he says I'll be staying around for tonight. But we'll see if he stays there all night or just
we'll see. That man's gonna be tired. He just pulled an all-nighter in the archives.
Oh gosh, right?
Nobody in PH sleep. Nobody in PH sleep. How do they all look this good on no sleep? I'm short 2 hours of sleep and I look like 100 years old. I don't understand, but it's okay. It's fictional.
And Lucas is like, I don't want to stay. Can I leave? But no.
Try, Lucas.
No, Mr. Randall, please get back into your room before I call Nurse Thompson on you. Like, hospitals are the only places where hostages are legal, I swear to the gods.
That's right. Nothing like the fear of God from the nurse to put it in you. Like, they will whip you in shape. I will tell you.
Yes. Have you had to
Oh my God, yes, I've had shit. Well, in the hospital, you can technically leave. It's not a prison. You're there of your own volition, unless you're a psych patient. You have what's called a 5150. It's a medical hold from the court. That's a whole different, thing. But most of the patients that I've had, everybody's there willingly getting treatment. But you can leave what's called, it's AMA, against medical advice. And so basically, if you want to leave, you sign a form saying that you're aware that we don't advise that you leave. It could, be adverse effects for your health. And a lot of times insurance will not cover your stay or your treatment if you leave AMA. So it doesn't happen too often, but it's definitely happened whenever I was a newer nurse and I was working the night shift. I walked into a room once and the IV, they had pulled it out. It was just on the bed. All their belongings were gone. It was 2 a.m. They just up and left. Like, they just pulled out their own IV, and we ended up calling him at home. He didn't answer. The cops went and checked on him, and he just said he wanted to leave. So it happened. But Lucas doesn't know this. He doesn't know that he can leave. And he shouldn't. He should not leave AMA. Not recommended.
Oh, that's funny. Like, I'll see you guys around. And Will gives her the phone number. And she, thank you. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you. She said about calling Miss Liddell's family, and we'll be back to check on her in about half an hour. Okay, thank you. Oh, she says, I see you a lot at the hospital, way too much these days. Take care of yourselves.
She's like, how many more times am I going to see these guys?
And Will sighs, and now you can see like the little lines around his eyes.
Yeah, are we a little concerned about the sweat drops on their face? Like, do we think that these are developing, or they're just like, how they do in anime and like webtoons and stuff, they just have put the little sweat mark when they're like concerned?
That's what I thought, but
But I don't know. I mean, I went and put it against like soap enough to put it in there to kind of lead us,
Yeah.
It could be developing symptoms. I don't know.
That one's the cat. Wanting to be letted.
So I love these panels because obviously William looks so distressed, and then you see Lauren and she goes and she grips his shoulder, and so she's like trying to be strong for him. And he looks at her, but then she looks at Kieran and she falls apart.
I know, it's the best panel ever.
These are the best 2 panels in the entire episode.
Yes. So it's amazing. Like, it's so natural. She is just willing to be vulnerable around Kieran. She looks to him as a source of comfort.
Exactly. Like, she was comforting William, but she lets herself fall apart in front of Kieran. And that is huge. That is everything. That says everything about where they are currently in their emotional development. Oh my God, the progression is so good.
It is, because Lauren is always so self-reliant, and Will was her best friend. So like, if she transferred her comfort level from Will to
she's not falling apart in front of William and falling into William's neck and crying. This is to Kieran.
Oh, so beautiful. And Kieran is accepting it. She's like clenching, I think that's her hand, right? Clenching his like coat.
Yeah, I think she's grabbing his like little vest or whatever and burying her face. I'm sure she's tearing up. And she's breaking down. She's realizing that like her best friend could die. Like, this is really serious. And she just draws facial expressions so well, because in the top one you can see her face. I think my second reread, because I did it the reread right before we started podcasting, like you can see her lip almost quivering. It's like she drew it, when you like feel like you're about to cry and your lip starts to quiver. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And you just see his concerned face, and it's so good.
looking each other straight in the eye. Like they
Yeah,
have
straight. Yeah, there's no hesitation. There's nothing. Like they are on a whole another level of their relationship. And it's interesting because I was reading a couple of episodes back, like especially in the opera arc, because I wanted to track and see like who touched who and who was wearing gloves. And we can talk about that later on. But just the progression of their relationship. Like the last time, we haven't had 𝗏𝗀𝗍 for a really long time for Fast Passers. I think it's been
since the circus. I mean,
it's been, well, no, it's been since the horny episode in the archives. Double date.
Oh yeah, okay.
125. So it's been a while. It's been, I think, 2 months. It's been about 8 or 9 weeks since we've had them like interacting together. We've had any 𝗏𝗀𝗍, and it's just, I love it. Even if it's just a couple panels, like it just makes me so happy. Like the last time we had them together, they were making jokes with each other and flirting, and Lauren was smiling like she's never smiled with Kieran before, and now she's vulnerable and burying her face in his neck. And we've just gotten so much like in just the past couple of days in canon and the storyline. It's so good.
I mean, I think it's remarkable for both of them, and I guess maybe less of for Lauren, but especially for Kieran. I mean, I've said this a million times, but the fact that he, despite having grown up so dysfunctional and so, you know, or of positive emotional contact, but given only negative emotional contact, the fact that he's so well adjusted and able to, you know, receive affection and give affection is so remarkable. And to me, just shows that Kieran's natural personality is very, very warm and affectionate and loving.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's a nature versus nurture thing. Granted, we don't have his entire backstory yet, but it makes me think that he grew up in a loving home. I don't know. I just have this headcanon that like Kieran had wonderful parents and they died, or he became an orphan or something. So I think he's just a warm, loving human, even though he thinks that he's a monster, which of course just makes it all the more heartbreaking. But no, you're right, because I mean, we don't know, but I feel like he probably hasn't had a lot of like, if any, romantic relationships or close personal relationships, because it's too dangerous for him as the PH to get close to anybody.
After who we assume was the protectee.
Exactly. And we also don't know if the protectee was brother, sister, Dylan, romantic, mother. Like we don't know. I have theories, but I don't think that it was a romantic relationship. I think it was probably more a familial or friend relationship. And so for him to be like this open with Lauren, you're right. Like it's huge for him, considering we really don't know how much experience he has in this realm.
I love them so much. I could stare at these panels.
Emotional intelligence is
yes, yeah, I agree.
It's high for this man.
And Lauren's like, she has to be okay, Kieran. She has to. Which also, like, just the words, also not just the
words. I mean, just her saying his name. I mean, we all know his name. It's not a secret, but there's just something to be said for the power of saying somebody's name out loud. That's very kind of intimate and personal.
And I think it's showing that, you know, Kieran. Right, by her saying Kieran, she has to be okay. It's like, Kieran, I rely on you. Kieran, you're the one that like I look to tell me things will be okay.
She's been relying on him a lot, pretty much all of season 3, if you think about it. Like,
and people have been mentioning that as a negative thing. Like, I don't view it as a negative thing at all.
I don't think it's a negative thing either. I can see where people may think that, because I think that especially like currently in media and like our generation, we're being spoon-fed the like strong female heroine who can do everything herself 100% of the time. And I love a good strong female heroine who can do things for herself, but there's also something to be said for the strength in letting people help you and emotional vulnerability, because that's real life.
Yeah,
I mean,
like John says, no man is an island. You can't
no man is an island, and Lauren's been her own island for forever, for far too long. She's been struggling with this all on her own. Like, yeah, maybe William or Kim kind of knows a little bit about her, you know, obsession with finding Dylan and stuff, but mostly she hasn't been able to express any of this until she met Kieran. you know, somebody who's able to identify and talk through like her obsession with bringing down the Phantom Scythe and the vulnerabilities that goes along with that. So yeah, season 3 has pretty much been like the vulnerability of Lauren, like her being unconscious after the factory arc and Kieran taking care of everything. I know that there was kind of critiques about that, but I just think that kind of shows his character. And I mean, I personally didn't mind it. And then the circus arc, Circus 2.0, you know, where she was under hypnosis and he was there for her, comforting her again.
Oh, more amazing hugs. Oh.
I know, this is the season of hugs. So good. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a natural part of the progression of their relationship where Lauren is learning to be vulnerable. And now we just need, and who knows, we may not get it this season. Maybe that'll be like the theme of season 4, but we need the vulnerability of Kieran.
Amen. It has to.
I mean, it has to come at some point because this man is a closed book. Like, yes, we're getting emotional vulnerability in these scenes, but it's in regard to Lauren. We need him to open up. We need him to talk about his backstory. We need him to talk about his feelings and him to, like, I cannot freaking wait until he has a breakdown and Lauren is there to comfort him because that hasn't happened yet.
Well, I think you and I, you know.
Well,
we're hopeful.
No, we can't give away anything. Yeah. Can't say anything to everybody listening or watching. Go watch stream.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like Sophia told us anything. We just watched the stream.
Yeah, well, we also, yeah, we can't say. She doesn't want us to. She doesn't want us to say anything. But go watch stream.
Yep. All right, so this part has ended and now we move on to, we are in prison
APD offices.
Yeah. And we have Hermann rubbing his nose. He's like, the news is really bad. Both Cooper and Grace, March is telling him, both Cooper and Grace had to be transferred to the hospital. So this is obviously a little bit later. Hospital told me that the 2 paramedics who took Nesreen in had been admitted to the ICU as well. Sergeant Liddell is at least stable for now. Poor Hermann, he's like still got his eyes closed.
He's like, whoa, this has been the worst past couple of months ever.
He's like, the opera house director also called to let me know that some crew members have fallen sick. Like, everyone is falling sick.
People are dropping like flies, Mindy. Okay, I read back to the opera arc. Can I just talk about, okay.
Yes.
So Mindy, this is not good. I went back and reread the episodes. The first person to touch her is our boyfriend.
No, he could not die.
Without gloves. He touches her and he's like, Morgan! It's, oh my God, I screamed. I was like, Mindy is gonna freak. Our boyfriend, 𝗪𝗲𝗱, is...
We're probably never gonna see him again, but I don't care. They have to tell us what's happening.
I mean, they didn't mention that he's in the ICU, but I also don't think that March and Hermann know him by name. They just said a couple of crew members are sick, so we don't know how sick they are. But I'm not gonna lie, I kind of freaked out when I saw that. So
wait, if he's in the hospital, maybe Lauren will see him again, and maybe we'll see him again.
That would be ideal, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
I think we should just.
That would be ideal, though. I don't think Soph listens to these podcasts, but Soph, if you're listening, Soph and F, please bring back 𝗪𝗲𝗱. He's very popular.
Yes.
10 out of 10 will recommend, please bring 𝗪𝗲𝗱 back. He is hot, probably underage for Mindy and I. Probably illegal, but I don't care. Whatever, it's fine. It's a fictional world.
We'll wait for him to grow up.
Yeah, we'll wait. We'll give him a couple of years.
If he survives.
We'll just hang out with Kieran because he's legal until.
So we can have.
Oh my God, the things that I thought I would never say on this podcast. I would wait for a man to be legal. Anyways, he's that beautiful though. Please bring him back. But anyways, when I was rereading those episodes, 𝗪𝗲𝗱 touched her first and had no gloves. Then 𝗪𝗲 did her, amazing cinematic jump, started doing CPR, and she was wearing gloves. Then Kim took over. She was not wearing gloves. Cooper and Grace were wearing gloves, touching the body, but we didn't see Grace, but we saw that scene where Cooper was like rubbing his neck and it was very obvious. And we also know that the two paramedics that picked her up, because she was already dead at that point. So this is why, and I'll just go into this, why I think this is poison spread through probably the body makeup. Because there's 3 ways that diseases can spread: through direct contact, through droplets, like if you cough on someone and the droplets like go onto, you know, an open wound, but most likely you just breathe it in. And then airborne, that means that the particles, either the bacteria or the virus, go into the little air particles and you breathe it in. So if, and I don't know, this is just me using my medical knowledge, and I don't know if Soph and F, especially F, are going to be like 100% medically accurate in the storyline. But so far, I've concluded it's probably through direct contact, because Morgan was already dead on the scene when the paramedics probably arrived and took her away to the morgue. So there was no breathing, which means there's no droplet or airborne spread. So I think this is all through them just touching her and then touching themselves, because we do see later on in the scene, we can talk about it, but Bella starts to cough, which, you know, everybody was surprised about because she's the, you know, #1 culprit here under suspicion. But we see 𝗫𝗏 grab her by the shoulder, and she's wearing a very revealing dress. Like, I think that Soph and F did that on purpose to show that Bella was showing a lot of skin, because 𝗫𝗏 was all up in her business. She hugged her, she grabbed her, like she was touching that bare skin all over. And so that's why I think this is spread through contact isolation.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my end of medical knowledge rant.
Yeah. Okay. I think so.
But we'll see. We'll see who's
right. I want to discuss Whodunnit. We'll get to that.
Whodunnit.
So March is like, this is very worrisome. And Hermann says, all who've been in contact with Green are falling like flies. Like you said, last thing we need is a new disease spreading around. March says the symptoms everyone's experiencing are more reminiscent of a snake bite. And Hermann asks the obvious. In that case, do you think this could be the Viper's doing? March says, I suspect it could be the case if they decided to change their modus operandi. All the victims had one thing in common, a cup, which isn't the case here. So, okay.
So can I comment on that, Mindy? I know that we don't think that, I mean, obviously this is not golden viper venom, because the way that Bella used it, she had it on the blade. But I'm wondering if the reason why Morgan was affected so strongly and died so quickly is because, and had such a violent death, is because she had that scrape on her leg from that gunshot. So when she had, like, remember that? It was like very,
yeah, I know.
So it makes me wonder if when she put on the body makeup, it got into the wound basically, and she just had a more intense reaction because it got into her bloodstream much faster and a much higher dose than basically, because if things are going to be spread through contact, things get absorbed much more slowly through your skin than versus an open wound. So I don't know, it makes me wonder if that's why she got so sick so fast, or if it was just the amount of body makeup that she had on, or if it was just because through the cut and then everyone else's symptoms are so much less severe and they didn't die because they just got a little bit of it on their skin.
So you think someone put poison in the body makeup?
That's my current theory, because I don't think it was from, it can't be from the bullet. Like, it can't be from the bullet that hit her, you know?
Okay. I like that.
So again, it's Soph and F. They could throw us for a loop and we'll get something super crazy, but that's just kind of my train of thought. I think it's from,
okay, sounds reasonable.
I think somebody probably poisoned the body makeup, because if it's from contact spread, they were all touching her. You know, they were touching her arms, and then Cooper touched his neck, and then 𝗫𝗏 did CPR too, and then, you know.
And she would have put the body makeup on her foot, which isn't like, because she's a ghost.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Like,
and there can be particles of it too, because some people in the Discord were like, oh, you know, it was CPR over her dress, but I'm like, yeah, but I mean, like, 𝗫𝗏 picked up her arm and, you know, was like, oh my God, she's so stiff, and, you know, the body makeup transfers, there could be particles of it all over her dress. So I don't know, that's my current theory.
Fun. I like it. And Hermann says the investigation must continue even if Cooper is down. Anyone else you can give the case to? It's like, yep.
Everybody's sick, man. The whole office is out with COVID. The whole office. There's nobody else to get it to.
Well, I mean, it's the perfect opening because I thought of it in like a second, and March is like, well, everyone else is already busy in complicated cases. I'll take it on and make it my priority. Just thank you. I'd rather have this urgent case in your hands than anyone else. You're our best detective. Great. March is like, on what condition?
I want Lawrence and Claire.
Yup. And yeah, it's like in bold, I request for active participation in the investigation. Like, yes, March, you
finally, Detective Lauren back in the game. We've been waiting for this.
Yes, it would be so validating for her. Poor girl, she was so like ashamed.
I know, and she's so talented. I mean, even without her ability, she's still a really great detective. Her intuition's great.
Oh, yep. Herman's like, what? And Mark's like, it only makes sense. She's a first-hand witness, and her intuition is an asset I want on this case. And okay, so I'm a little bit questioning.
Okay.
Is March doing this because he's a nice guy and he just really wants Lauren to be restored to her former glory? Or is there some suspicious plotty reason that he wants her to be on this case?
Since it's PH, I'm going to go with suspicious plotty reasons. Because I don't know. I keep going back and forth because one minute I think March is a good guy. And then the next minute I'm like, he's the leader. And then one minute, I really am so suspicious of Hermann though, because I think the way that he's been painted to us as readers is a complete red herring. Like, I think he's going to throw a snake. Like, I think in the end, he's going to be the good guy and the hero of the day.
I never thought Hermann was a bad guy. I
never thought that he was a bad guy. I know people crapped on him because he's just intense and strict, and he does kind of have it out for Lauren. I mean, even though Lauren did do wrong, right? Like, she did violate protocols and, you know, violate her restraining order against Sake and all this stuff. So it's like, I mean, Lauren is clearly not. No, but they do make it pretty clear that he hasn't really liked her even before all of that, though. And I think that has to do with stuff with her parents. Like, they have referenced that. So that's a very Snape scenario to me.
Right. What they say is because he's jealous he didn't get the promotion. That's
yeah, exactly. And I think we know so far that that's not a lie because March said that to Lauren and it didn't register as a lie. So we know that that's true.
Well, it's true that March believes it, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he was telling the truth in that because yeah, he would just have to believe it. But I don't know. I feel like March is going to come out and save the day. I don't know. Later on in the story.
Yeah, I think you mean Hermann, but yeah.
Not March, Hermann. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no objection to Hermann. I mean, he's just a little bit like, he's intense and strict and like a little bit of a jerk, but like, it's not immoral, right? He's just intense.
No, but I mean, he also called her out for the car accident thing that he didn't believe her.
Yes.
Like, bold move, Hermann. Bold move.
Yeah. So yeah, and he's like, you know, I hate having my hands forced, March. And some people, question this line. I think it's just like a Hermann line. You know, he doesn't like being told what to do, or he doesn't want to put Lauren there. I don't think there's anything more to it, personally, to that line. But some people are like, maybe it's a history thing, and like you and March, and they have history between them. He knows.
No, I think he just doesn't like being told what to do.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Mm-hmm. And March is like, people will question your fairness as a captain if you prolong her devotion much longer. They already are, which is good. You know, he's appealing to his sense of justice and honor. Mm-hmm. So I think it shows you that Hermann values those qualities. He wants to be a fair captain.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you? And a lot of people have fun with that. That meme. And he's like, you know I'm right. Like, fine. Do whatever you want. But you better find the culprit quickly.
He's like, I need the office back at work 100%. I need to figure out the antidote so that nobody's sick and we can get the office back up and running.
Mm-hmm. He's like, of course. It's in everyone's interest that I do. So we have that. And now we have this bunch. We're in Bella's trailer. And it's cop.
And we see Bella, and she is still in the same dress that she was in the night before, I think, at least. And she's looks like she's rubbing her arm, maybe. She's coughing. She's like, what the hell? Yeah.
I don't think it's the same dress.
Okay.
Kind of looks like she's in a like
Towel
or something, because since I just reread those episodes,
she
had the major side boob in that dress.
Right, sorry.
So much side boob. There's no side boob.
Right.
But yeah, she's coughing and she's going, what the hell? Which that rules her out.
Mm-hmm. She's surprised.
Suspect, yeah.
Yeah. I guess we can question, because I don't know. What do you think? Should we do the next scene before do the whodunit question? Okay, let's
just finish and do the whodunit.
Now we're in fancy schmancy land.
We're at her girlfriend's house.
Yeah, it's very elaborate maroon.
I think she lives at the castle, right? I think we've talked about this.
Yeah, she has to go back to the castle.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a headache. She's brushing her hair, and she brushes it. She puts it down. She's coughing. She's still rubbing her eyes. And then this maid is like, "How are you feeling now, my lady?" It's a gorgeous room. I mean, it's massive.
That room is huge.
It's like the size of my house.
Look at the bed. It's like 20-foot ceilings.
Yeah, balcony, stunning balcony.
So beautiful.
Yeah. She's like, better, thank you. I still have a headache, but nothing but a good night's sleep will fix, I think. Haha. Yeah, right.
You wish.
And the maid is really cute. She has like these ginger braids. She's adorable.
No, they're little freckles. She's so adorable.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, "That's good, my lady. I wish you a good night then." And then her knees buckle. And she's coughing, and she goes down, and she's wheezing, and Darcy runs to her. She's like, "Miss Juliet," and she's shocked that her hand is trembling before her, and there's some blood on it. And Darcy's like, "Ooh, gods." And that's how it
is. That's it. And then the author's note: take care of yourselves, Dr. F. Emerys, 2022. It's a little late for that, F.
Right. I'm a little curious. How come Felicity? I don't know why I call it Felicity. Oh, I bet you the American Girl doll character Felicity looks like that. That's why.
Oh, yeah, with the little freckles. I didn't have Felicity, but I did want Felicity. I had Molly and Samantha.
Felicity. I didn't have any, but my grandma had Molly because her name was Molly. So
that's cute. Well, mine were hand-me-downs from my older sisters who are 10 years older than me. So
yeah, I used to spend hours looking at the magazines.
Oh yeah, no, I loved the magazines. That was so fun. Okay, so what was your question about?
Was why this person who was not named Felicity at all, why she has it worse, Julia? Why she has it worse than Darcy?
So I was thinking about that, and if my contact contagion theory is true, Darcy was very covered up when she was at the opera. She had like the hat, the high neck, she had long gloves, she had the boots, she was very covered. She also had her gloves. And so we know that she touched Bella, like I said, so I think it transferred that way. Well, she's a fancy schmancy royal. She got home, and you know how it is in like every period piece you've ever seen. She's not going to remove her own hat and her own gloves and her own jacket. The maid is going to do that. So I'm sure she peeled off her gloves and her hat, gave them to the maid, and the maid touched them probably with her bare hands and did the laundry or whatever. So I think the maid had way more like physical contact with all the particles on her clothing than 𝗟𝗏 did herself, because she was completely covered. So unless 𝗟𝗏 just like kept touching her face, which we didn't see her do, it's possible, because that's why she's sick too. She obviously had some of it transfer onto her, but that's the only way I can guess it, because why is she sicker than 𝗟𝗏 and she wasn't even around Morgan?
Yeah,
she must have had just more contact with the poison.
Yeah, I think so.
See what I can figure.
So in a couple of minutes that we have left, who done it?
Who done it?
Why done it?
Oh, I know. I feel like I've had all these theories, but this is the one point where I'm just like, I don't know. I give up. I feel like we have 100 questions that need to be answered this season. And then Soph and F just went, let's make things 50 times more complicated. Like, I don't even know what's going on. Yeah, I'm like,
Stefan, like, oh, what's his name? Redcliffe.
Like, it could be Dylan. Like, who knows? Like, I just don't even know anymore. Okay, but seriously, I don't think it's Bella, because obviously she's ill.
Not Darcy.
Not Darcy. Not Kieran. It's not. I don't think it's Redcliffe.
No, really? Okay.
Like, I think Redcliffe would use Bella if he wanted to do something.
Right. Yeah, I don't think he would risk Bella getting sick.
No, and I mean and I don't think it's Sandman, because I went back and he looked really shocked at what was happening. So I think if he had planned that, like a double crossing Morgan, he wouldn't have shown up or been surprised.
It wouldn't make sense from a story perspective, because we were introduced to Sandman as like a bad guy, and then his
character's flipped, so he's not going to go back and be a bad guy. Yeah, I don't think so either. Stefan, I mean, it could be. It makes me think, though, because the ghost of the cathedral was kind of a not so subtle pointing at the royals and their actions, it makes me think it could be somebody on the inside that's more on the royals side. Maybe not so much the Phantom Scythe, but I also don't know, because Morgan and Sandman were obviously against the Phantom Scythe as well. So it could go either way. It could be somebody from the Phantom Scythe or somebody from the royal side, but the only person that could be from the royal side I could think would be Stefan. I don't think the queen would use Stefan.
She would, well, or a random person whose identity doesn't matter. Like, it could just be her orders.
Raphael?
Why? I mean, I don't know why for anybody. Like, why would
Redcliffe order him to do that?
And so why? Let's say why? Was the plan to kill Morgan, or was the plan to kill Morgan plus get everyone else sick? Oh wait, I thought about the director just for no reason.
Oh, I thought about that too. I thought maybe. I mean, he seems so sweet and innocent, though. So I don't know. But I mean, could he have an ulterior motive? Is that how Talia died? I mean, that, even though that was a long time ago. I'm very confused. I don't know who would do this if it wasn't Bella / Redcliffe. What?
What's the point? Was it just to get rid of Morgan, or do they mean for everyone else to get sick too, or they're just like, oops, whatever?
If it was the body makeup, then oh, you know what? Wasn't somebody else was supposed to play that part?
Yes. Oh, you think it was a mistake?
We don't even know who that person is, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So unless they poisoned the body makeup way in advance and meant it for that person, they meant it for Morgan, and they meant for it to make an example out of her.
Yeah,
on
that
stage.
actually makes sense.
I mean, it makes more sense, right? It makes more sense for it to be really dramatic, to make an example out of her and scare all the nobles that are going to, like, who wants to scare the nobles? Like, who wants to be the leader? Oh no. Who's which apostle is the one that's in charge of murders and espionage? The one that's like above Kieran?
Four, maybe?
4?
I don't know. I think 4.
I mean, obviously Kieran didn't do this, but maybe 4 orchestrated it somehow. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sincerely stumped. I'm stumped.
More exciting stuff to discover.
I know. I can't wait. I cannot wait. So, like, what do you think is going to happen in the next episode?
March will work together, and I think we might get some more information on March that will either be sussy or unsussy.
Do you think we're immediately going to get like Lauren and March teaming up, or do you think that we're going to get like William at the hospital? Do you think that we're gonna get Lauren and Kieran going and doing some talking or something? Or do you think we're gonna get a little bit of everything? Like, I feel like with PH, we could go so many different ways.
I don't know. Maybe start off with Will at the hospital, meeting the family, and then Marge and Lauren. We'll see.
Who knows? We'll see. How many more days do we have to wait?
The 5. Yeah. But anyway, I gotta go. But I guess what's your favorite? Well, we don't have to ask. What's your favorite panel?
Oh, my favorite panel from this one. Ooh, that's hard. Wait. Okay. I'm like, no, I don't. Well, I mean, pretty much any of it. It's the one where Lauren is, you know, burying her face into Kieran's neck, and he looks so concerned for her.
Yup, absolutely.
I love that one. That's my favorite.
Yup. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chloe. It was so much fun.
Awesome. Thanks, Mindy. Always a pleasure.
I'll see you next week.
I'm on the next one, so I'll see you next week.
Oh, this was awesome.
Bye.
Thank you so much to my current patrons: Susie, Lady Libris, Lily, Jenny, Molly, Veronica, Emily, Jo, Rochelle, Saucy Toggles, Anna Rose, Alexa, Misty, Joanne, Emilda, Esther, 𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗄𝗎, Emily, Jean, Jen, Erin, Kay, Lily, Beckett, Duranda, Christine, Sadie, Kelly, Teresa, Mrs. Castaldo, Tatiana, Louisa, Rachel, and Cece Moon. Your support is truly appreciated.